What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Sports Podcast. I am William Locke, and he is Luis Barranco. The World Series is now over, and the Dodgers have won, and the Yankees have lost. Luis, how you doing?
I am doing marvelous. I'm doing fantastic today. But last night it was not nice. I was not doing great. I'm gonna be honest. The past last night in game three, I went to bed. William texted me in our baseball chat, in our critics corner chat, and I just didn't respond. I had no words. I respect William's fandom because I know I did not want to come off insensitive or comment, because I feel your pain. I would like to
You
ask
said
you, in what stage are you in? You're in the 5 stages of grief right now. So which one are you in as a fan?
what are the 5 stages of grief? Let
So
me look it up.
stage one is denial. Stage two is anger. Stage three is bargaining. Four is depression, and five is acceptance, which is the final one.
I don't think I was ever in denial. Well, maybe a little bit.
You were in
Anger. That
denial at
was
the start.
anger was mostly last night. Bargaining, I don't really know if I went through that part. And then, I mean, depression, I wouldn't say depression. Like, I don't really like using that word. I would say more just general sadness.
So you've bargained already and be like, yo, if we had this, if we did that. That's where I was
Well,
today. Like, not that I'm a Yankee fan, but I felt it today because of like how many years and just looking at all of like how New York got. You can specifically speak about Game 4, how the environment was because you were at the game. But I just feel like there was just like, I felt like this World Series could have been one of the greatest of all time if things like shaked out the right way.
well, the most frustrating part, yes, the Yankees lost 4-1. And on paper, that looks convincing. But really, they should be up 3-2 heading back to LA because they really should have won game one. You not only should they have brought in Tim Hill instead of Nestor, I mean, it's been a thing with the Yankees for the past freaking decade, really, is they can't play defense. They are terrible at fundamentals. Glaber, the short hop throw to Glaber that allows Otani to go to third, and then the Dodgers score and win in that game. So you really blew game one. You give games 2 and 3 to the Dodgers, but then you win game 4, the game that I was at, 2-2. And then last night, I mean, just a meltdown I've never seen. Like, the only thing that it reminds me of is like those blow up innings you had in travel baseball when, you're playing in like tournaments and you're 18, 16, 17, 18 years old, like not, or even younger than that, 12 years old, whatever, not the World Series like that. It was just so embarrassing. The top of the fifth inning, like that was it was so painful because it was there. You're up 5-0 in the fourth inning. Garrett Cole has a no hitter going. And you're like,
Yeah.
all right, Garrett Cole looks untouchable tonight. Like 5-0. We're hitting everybody. They're gonna have to use their high leverage guys. It looks like we got game 4 or game 5 wrapped up, and it's gonna be 3-2 heading back to LA, and anything can happen. And then that inning happens, and it's just like, yep, add it to the list of heartbreaking things the Yankees have done to me in the past 15 years, whatever, since we won a World Series.
Let me ask you this question. Somebody made the analogy. Is it 28-3 bad? Like
28-3.
Atlanta Falcons, New England Patriots, Super Bowl.
No, because you're still down 3-1 in this series. Like, it's not that bad. But it was, out of all of the Yankee losses, I think over the past 15 years, I think it's probably number one. Like 2019
Which one's one?
ALCS, 2019
Yeah, that's what.
ALCS, that's
Yeah.
a run for your, like, that one was close. 2017 ALCS sucked because you're up 3-2 going back to Houston and you lose the next two. But game 7 wasn't really close. We lost that game like 4-0. But yeah, I mean, this one, it was right there. And it's just all of the bad habits, all of the things that the Yankees are organizationally deficient in came to fruition in the biggest stage, in the biggest moment. You don't cover first on the ground ball to Rizzo. You judge like drops a routine little league pop up that he makes 99. He makes that play 99 out of 100 times. But the Yankees are, and that's the thing with this series. The Dodgers did pretty much all of the little things right. They played good
I
defense
disagree.
for the most part. For the most part, they played good defense. They I thought they did a good job with their defensive positioning. I thought the Yankees' defensive positioning has always been support. The Yankees try to win the World Series on just pure talent, and they want to say we have these superstar players, and they're just going to go out and win these games for us. We can overlook the small things like base running, cutoffs, bunting, positioning, like all of that stuff. Like, let's just throw Jazz Chisholm at third base, even though he's never played the position in his career, and it'll work somehow.
He
Like,
played. He played decent.
I actually
He
don't
played
think
decent.
Jazz is I don't think he's a horrible third baseman, but he's never played that position before. I ultimately think that Jazz will probably be moved to second base next year, and I would be surprised if they re-sign Glaber, but I don't know. We don't have to talk about the offseason this early in the pod. Yeah, I don't know. It just sucked. I mean, that inning was like that one. It's going to take a long time to get over that one. It was pretty painful. And once that happened, you knew they weren't going to win the game.
For me, it was like I was watching it, and like throughout the series, I think I completely disagree with your point that the out superstar of the superstars. I just feel like the other guys really did well for the Dodgers. That back half of the order, that's 6 through 9, Tommy Edman, Kike Hernandez, Gavin Lux, those guys performed well. And then it just set the stage up for Ohtani, Betts, and Freddie. And so
Ohtani didn't do anything.
Ohtani didn't do anything. Ohtani became Aaron Judge games 1 through 3. And so he didn't do anything. He was clearly hurt. You can tell. And then, I mean, Mookie was just doing timely hits, which I mean, I just feel like what really hurt the Yankees is a lot of times is like Anthony Rizzo, I think was such, and I don't want to blame just one player because it's a collection of errors because like last night was so winnable if Tommy Canley doesn't blow up in the what was it, bottom of this, in the top of the seventh, no, top of the eighth. It doesn't blow up in the top of the eighth. Doesn't blow up in the top of the eight. Clay Holmes can get out of that. Austin Wells doesn't do catcher's interference, just like little things. If they don't do that, last night's winnable. But I just felt like the middle of the order, when it got down to bridging the gap between, the top four to Volpe and Austin Wells, like Anthony Rizzo was automatic out. Like he was just a single. He was a singles machine, or he was getting a walk.
That was all he was doing, but he was by far the worst player on this team in the World Series. He was still hurt. I don't know why they were running him out there every single game. He was grimacing like every swing, and
yeah, you could tell like he was just holding the bat like scared to swing. I'm just saying, he was the clear issue in the middle of the order, and then Austin Wells got a little bit better, but like we got to give flowers when they're due. Like, for as much, two guys I want to point out is Giancarlo Stanton. For as much crap as I've given him on this podcast, and like, you have to move him, he's been a playoff performer. Like, I think, he's pretty much safe in any roster construction looking forward because he's the only dude that he consistently has shown up. And like, you can just tell that he cares more than the whole team. And I'm not saying it's a care thing, but he does. And then, like, Anthony Volpe got better. I just knew when Blake Trinan came in, he's like the kryptonite with the sweepers and everything. It was just craziness. But like Dodgers side, like Edman played well, Kike played well. Like they just all showed up. And the problem was just that little bridge. And then Verdugo, we know what Verdugo did. Verdugo had above average defense in left. So
yeah, Verdugo played good defense. There's been a lot of hate for Verdugo, but I thought he was an okay Yankee. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't good. He didn't have his best season. He's a better player, I think, than he played this year. He said that in one of his interviews in this series. He wants to be back.
We'll talk about the offseason. We'll talk about the offseason because I did a little bit. I haven't told you, but I did a little bit of sleuthing this morning. I got in the lab this morning on the computer.
Okay.
But back to the Dodgers, man. Their pitching really didn't impress me. Like, The Dodgers didn't win the series. The Yankees lost the series. That's how it went. If there's a way to do it, the Yankees gave this series away because game one was winnable. Game two was also winnable. People forget bases were loaded in the top of the ninth at Dodger Stadium. They were set to win game one and two. Three, we already know what three happened. Walker Buehler, made himself and Boris Corp a bunch of money this offseason. And game four went. So you can pretty much say, and I know this is like copium, and I know you can't just say, oh, if all this happens, like you win game five, because it just changes the dynamic of how the series is managed. But I truly think like the Dodgers didn't impress me. They did a good job like on the mistakes, but it wasn't like, oh my God, they like blew through the door. Like, I don't know why you pitched to Freddie Freeman. If you take away Freddie Freeman, like literally it's like that. So
that's who won the series for them. That's who won the series.
I don't have much on the Dodgers side because in reality, like their other guys, like they did well, they won the series for them. Mookie didn't do that, and Shohei was Aaron Judge. I don't know why people don't like. I just think Shohei has like this god tier or like aura around him that nobody can like. He's like you can't like criticize the guy.
No, yeah, you can't
because he was bad this year. He was bad in the World Series. He's like that dude that got an A on the project by doing like bare minimum work.
Yeah, I would say my last note on the Dodgers is, I mean, they won this World Series and they weren't fully healthy, certainly pitching wise, and they still got good starts from Flaherty in game one, Yamamoto in game two. Buehler's probably gone, but game three they got a good start from him. Flaherty sucked, or game four was they gave the Yankees game four, and then game five Flaherty sucked. And if the Yankees were to come back from 3-0, it's like, well, Dave Roberts gave them game four, and he let the Yankees get hot, and he came out swinging in game five. And if they won that game, if that fifth inning doesn't happen, they win the game, and it's 3-2 going back to LA, and the Yankees have all the momentum, all the pressures on the Dodgers.
Not even the fifth.
It was the fifth. It was the fifth. I don't know how I hate anything other than the fifth.
But I just hate how everybody, Dodger fans and Yankee fans, are like, "Oh, the fifth inning." People forget that Canley literally blew up in the eighth, in the top of the eighth. He's the top of the eighth.
Why don't you just go to Weaver? Why don't you go straight to Weaver in that situation and ignore Canley? I know Canley didn't pitch in game four, and Weaver pitched 18 pitches or something. He pitched in game four, but I don't know. You could have just gone straight to Weaver.
That just goes back to how like the Yankees bullpen. I mean, it was a mishmash bullpen made on the fly that ended up panning out. But there wasn't many it wasn't until the postseason that you found reliable guys. Yeah. So I feel like that is on the wish list for the summer, finding guys for high leverage in different situations that you can play around with. And so look, Clay Holmes wasn't great either. Clay Holmes could have easily blown up too. Tommy Canley blown up. Like the bullpen for the Yankees was bad. Let's just be honest. And Blake Trinan, you know what the Yankees' weakness is. And so, he's the guy, they're kryptonite. So look, people talk about the fifth inning. I'm not too yes, it happened, but hey, you had opportunities to win the game. Lots of opportunities and you didn't capitalize.
Yeah.
Shout out to Clay Holmes legacy game. I think not Clay Holmes, Garrett Cole. Yeah, I think he had himself a beautiful start. So, what do you think about Garrett Cole's start?
Yeah, he was outstanding. And fifth inning screwed him. He should have covered first. 0 earned runs, 6.2. Came back out for the seventh to get 2 outs, which was impressive. 108 pitches. Yeah, he looked like the guy you give $30 million a year for. And, really impressed by him. He could have opted for ACL or UCL surgery earlier in the season. I'm sure that was, I'm not reporting. I have no idea, but I'm assuming it was an option on the table. He had UCL injury, some type of injury earlier on in the season. He decided to fight through it, and he ended up having a great season and came through in the World Series for us. You have 2 great Garrett Cole starts in the World Series, and you lose both of those games. You're just not going to win a series doing that.
Very good point. Let's go into the offseason talk. I did a little bit of looking forth, and so like, what's the elephant in the room?
Well, Soto, of course.
Exactly. So, my question is, as ownership, is how much are the Yankees going to spend this offseason? Because this year, if you look at their payroll, it's the highest payroll that it's been in the past 5 years.
Yep.
Like they were at over 300 million this year, and years prior, discounting COVID because COVID was crazy, they were under 200. They were in the 200 range, under 300, like well under 300. So my question is, okay, Soto, how much is? I believe Soto's on Juan Soto. I got to look up his arbitration number. I thought it was 31, but his arbitration
31, yeah,
number.
that's correct. 31.
So you would assume he's going to get probably 10 more million of that
a year.
in
Yeah.
that. Rizzo's probably not coming back. So you're already down 19 million.
So yeah, Rizzo has a club option, and for how much is it? 17 million. There's just no way the Yankees picked that up. And just on Rizzo, like great player, great career. Obviously a legend in Chicago, won the World Series. Was great when he was on the Cubs. He's on the back half of his career. I will say he's been hobbled by injuries the past 2 seasons. The concussion last year and then this year was banged up. I don't think he was able to put his best foot forward in New York just because of those injuries. I like him as a person. He's a fun guy to have in the clubhouse. Really seems like a nice dude. I don't think he's going to be back with the Yankees next year.
So going off of that, you got to pay Gleiber. That's another question mark. And so right now they're at 324 million in total cap allocation, which is third in Major League Baseball. Next year they're already at 202 million. Yeah. And so I think, you got to ask questions. Right now they estimate Nestor Cortez at 8 million. Nestor Cortez is at 8 million for arbitration. DJ LeMahieu's on 15 million on the payroll.
Don't remind me.
And then there's Carlos Rodon at 27 million, close to 28 million. You're only 200,000 off of 28 million.
Which, to be fair, I still can see Rodon pitching to that contract.
And then you got Stroman. So
okay, yeah. If you sign Stroman for 18 mil a year for 2-year deal, so he's got 1 more year left, why not use him at any point in the playoffs? He didn't pitch well.
That is a very good point. I would imagine rotation-wise, you're looking at probably Cole, Rodon, Stroman are probably locks to be back. And then Heel, Schmidt, and then, Nestor at 8 million on arbitration. That's a big number to carry. It's a very big number. And there's so many holes in that lineup. For example, Verdugo's not back. You don't expect him to be back. So there's an opening at left field. We've talked about Jason Dominguez.
It has to be Jason Dominguez. You have to start him on opening day. He has to be the guy. You just got to bite the bullet and give him major league reps for an extended period of time. You could have made the argument that they should have just started him in the playoffs or given him a runway leading into the playoffs, see how he did, and started him in the playoffs. But for whatever reason, Verdugo had a chokehold on that position, and I don't understand it. I think it has something to do with agent relationships and keeping a good word with Verdugo's agency. I don't get it.
So then my question is, you wouldn't bring in a left fielder to be a trade? Because I literally was thinking like, man, the left field market in free agency, and we'll talk about the Dodgers soon, about where they go. You have Teoscar Hernandez, who's probably out of the price range. I don't think you're going to want Michael Conforto. He doesn't fit the lineup. Mark Canha didn't work out with the Mets, so I don't think you dive into that bin. Tyler O'Neill is the last thing you want in that lineup. Another masher. Then it's Austin Slater, Tommy Pham, Jesse Winker, Jake Cave, and Jurickson Profar.
Why
Just
not Tommy Pham? If you
he's
were to
30.
get somebody in left field,
He'll be 37. I would say you call up the Angels and you get Taylor Ward.
that would be a beautiful trade. Yeah.
The Angels and Taylor Ward's contract, I got to look it up, but I would say Taylor Ward. I mean, the Angels aren't going anywhere. They traded Soler for Griffin Canning. They got Soler today.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so Taylor Ward is only on $8 million arbitration. Why don't you just swap Taylor Ward for Nestor Cortez? They're going to need arms to pitch out to get major league innings, and I feel like that's a good match. Taylor Ward is how old is Taylor Ward? I believe he's in his 30s. He's 30 years old. He'll be 31 when the season starts. So he's a good bat. You can rotate him in with Dominguez. I think that's a good match. Now, once you do that, we have to talk about what's going to happen at first base. And this is where I ask you as a fan.
Yeah.
At first base, the first base market is pretty loaded for free agency. That you guys are lucky that there's a lot. There's Paul Goldschmidt, there's Pete Alonso, Josh Bell, Christian Walker, Carlos Santana, and a bunch of other guys that I'm not going to even name, like Wilmer Flores, Joey Gallo, Ryan O'Hearn, Uleski Gurriel. So then, where would you go with that?
Yeah, I think the names that stand out are the lefty bats. So Christian Walker. Well, Christian Walker's a righty. Sorry, I meant Josh Bell, switch hitter, big bat. He's a little older. I think you could get him on the cheapish. I would love Christian Walker, even though he's a righty. That would be a dream signing. And like Goldschmidt and Alonso. First of all, I wouldn't want Goldschmidt, and I don't think Alonso is going to happen. That's going to be a big contract, and I think he's going to be a Met for life. I think that's where they go there. So really, I think it's going to be like Josh Bell or Christian Walker. But if they don't want to spend the money, it's either going to be a trade or it's going to be Ben Rice at first base.
But then who's available for trade? That's the question. The only guy that I've read out that's floated is Josh Naylor. I don't know if you're interested in an Andrew Vaughn, Seth Brown.
No. Ooh, Seth Brown, not bad.
I mean, but the A's might be going for it next year. The A's got some. They're cooking something. So that's what I think. If you're not going to spend money, it's on that. Like it's on a it's probably going to be Ben Rice.
It's probably going to.
I feel like and I feel like the window's wide open for you guys. I mean, next year, I think the Baltimore is going down. I think every team in the AL is going down a lot. So I think the window's wide open. So you have to go for it this year, do a 2009 free agent off season and go for it. Because the door is wide open for probably next year.
In the American League altogether, most of the teams are on the downswing.
Everybody's regressing.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to learn a lot about the Yankees front office this offseason. And if they don't go for it, if they don't address the issues that have been in this organization for a long time, then I just don't know what to think. Obviously re-signing Soto is paramount, but there's a lot of other issues that they have to address. Go out and get a good fielder that, why can't we bring in a Tommy Edmond and have a guy like that? I saw a stat, Talking Yanks tweeted it. Since 2013, the Yankees are 6-0 in playoff series against AL Central teams and 0-6 in series against all other postseason opponents. We're literally AL Central merchants, bro. And that's been the worst division in baseball, or the worst division in the American League since 2013.
Not this year. But it's just I just think I think y'all do a really good job with advanced scouting. And I think you rely too much on those advanced scouting and MLB scouting that, a lot of times it's worked out with Clay Holmes of the world, but then a lot of times he just hasn't. And so I think you guys got to now, do some work. So then what do you do with the pen? You go out and go for a Kenley Jansen, Ryan Presley, Ross Stripling, David Robertson, Aroldis Chapman, Emilio Pagan, Blake Trinan's a free agent. What do you do?
I don't know if the pen
Tanner
is.
Scott.
I just don't know what the pen is priority wise. I think like the pen wasn't the problem in the postseason. The pen came through.
But can you
But
rely upon those guys replicating what they
yeah.
did this offseason? It's
Well,
just
and
like
that's the thing with the bullpen. Like it's just year over year, it's impossible to predict what kind of seasons these guys are gonna have. So
you sound concerned. Now, what is your offseason dream? Like, what is your wish list? Like, if you had to do 1 through 5, Santa's wish list.
well, resign Soto.
That's one.
Get a good first baseman.
Give me a name.
Christian Walker would be awesome.
Realistic?
No. Resign Glaber. It's just a lot of money, and I don't know if you're going to go out and spend $600-700 million on Juan Soto and then go out and spend another 200-300 million, and then all of a sudden Hal's spent $1 billion in the offseason. Like if they do that, then fans are going to have a lot of confidence in this organization. But if the Yankees don't re-sign Soto and go out and spend the money on like other guys to fill in gaps, like this team's going to suck. We saw it last year when Judge was hurt. This team sucked. Soto wasn't on the team. There was nothing there. What made the Yankees tick this year is the fact that they had Juan Soto on the team. And if he's not there, it's not that good of a lineup.
Now, let me just ask you. I do read that the Cardinals are gonna do a reset year. San Francisco, any of the central teams. I'm just saying, what guy could you see traded that you think? Because will a Nolan Arenado on $35 million at third base, like Kleiber walk, but then you take in Arenado at third and you eat some money, and let's say the Cardinals eat money, which I don't think they would eat money, and you put Nolan at third and second, Jazz, and I do believe Nolan has a no trade clause. Say he waives it.
Yeah.
To come
his deal actually isn't as bad as you'd think. He's only at 21 mil next year and then 16 and then 15. But he's on the wrong side of 30. But deal's not as bad as you would think. Yeah, I would love Arenado, but I just don't right now. I don't think any Yankee fans have any confidence in this front office and the organization. And it doesn't really feel like, yes, we were in the World Series, but it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't feel like any of the things that should be changing in this organization changed this year. Like they tried to paper over the cracks with Soto, and it helped, but it just didn't feel that different when we lost. It's like, yeah, we expected that fifth inning blow up. We've been watching this team for the past decade. It's what they do. So,
as for the Dodgers, they're right now at 176 on payroll for next season.
Yeah, it's because Ohtani's taking all these deferred payments. How is that even
allowed, all these man? Players? How all these players are taking deferred payments, and they're going to spend. They're going to get a Japanese superstar like spawn up. Like
it should not be allowed. Ohtani's making $2 million every single year, man, for the next decade. $2 million.
Teoscar did the same thing. Clayton has a player option for $10 million next year.
So what happens to the Dodgers in 10 years when they're actually going to have to pay these contracts? Are they just going to be like the A's and just be atrocious?
Or the White Sox? I don't think so, because I think that they have a infinitely better farm system than all the big teams.
Yeah. They got Glasnow for 3 more years. Glasnow is their highest paid player at 32.
They got Dustin May. Coming off TJ, probably a lights out reliever. He'll become a lights out reliever. Tony Goslin, who was pretty good. Like they're just gonna have like a bunch of dudes just spawn out, and they're gonna have a farm, and they'll spend. So like they're gonna be a freaking problem to deal with for the next decade.
And they got ownership that cares. That's gonna spend money. Freddie Freeman, he's on basically a Carlos Rodon contract. 6 years, 162. He's making $27 million for the next 3 years. 35 years old next season. Yamamoto's at
Desirable.
14.
I was going to say desirable location as well.
Yeah, they have all the advantages in the world.
Well, they have more advantages than the Yankees because I'm saying, like, for example, I think players would rather play in LA than New York because of the media potentially. That could be a
Yeah.
factor. So
You
it's
can
easier
go
for
to
them.
LA. You can go to LA and fall off the radar, man, and no one's gonna watch your games because they're all start super late, and you're not gonna get scrutinized in the media like Judge did. Otani was bad in the playoffs, and I'm sure LA sports media wasn't getting on Otani. You didn't hear any of
LA,
that noise.
yeah, the Angelinos were not on him for being dog water. So I mean, they
So
weren't dog
maybe,
water on
yeah,
Clayton Kershaw for not pitching the whole year, just stealing some money. I'm not stealing, but you know what I mean. Just like rehabbing
yeah,
the
he
whole
was
year.
hurt. He was hurt.
I mean, Max Muncy's hasn't been the same, and he's making $14 million a year. And do we hear anything about Max Muncy being bad? And I know we sound salty. I sound salty right now, but it's just truth. Like you can go to the Angels. Look at Albert Pujols. He went out to the Angels, and then it wasn't until like he came back to St. Louis for the first time. It was like in 8 years because of the way the scheduling works. And I was like, oh yeah, he actually still exists in this league.
Yeah,
Like he just fell off the
yeah,
face of the earth.
yeah.
Like that's how it was. So I mean, look, and I mean, looking forward, they're going to spend money. I mean,
The
they have
Dodgers are going to be
ownership.
favorites to win the World Series every year. Otani's under contract.
I mean, look, they're aging though. I mean, Freddie's going to be 30. Is 35. Mookie's 32. So
Mookie's
we'll
not old.
see.
32. He's still in his prime.
But they're getting up there. We'll see. I mean, I think the league's going to be a lot different next year. I think a lot of like the small teams. I'm interested to see, what the Guardians, Tigers, and Royals do because they're going to obviously get better. I know in the West, Houston, I expect to come down a little bit. I know the A's are going to get better. Seattle should rebound. Texas is going to reload. Texas is going to reload. Philadelphia's going to be there. Cohen's going to drop bags like no other. Like spending with Steve Cohen and the Mets is not going to be a question. Braves are already started to like work on their roster, figure out their system since Fried's walking. Shows that hand. I mean, we can talk about that, how Jorge Soler for Griffin Canning kind of just shows the hand that, they don't expect to re-sign Max Fried.
Yeah.
They expect Fried to get a lot of money. And I've seen that it's between like Texas and Boston. I mean,
Texas is
Boston's
going to be back next year. Texas will be back for sure.
Boston's going to be pretty good next year. I think Boston could be that sneaky, like they could be like a potentially kind of Baltimore-esque real soon. Really loaded farm system.
You said earlier that they're on the downswing, though.
Boston?
Yeah. You said everyone in the AL East is kind of on the downswing.
Everybody's most of them, but like the contenders-wise, like Houston's on the downswing. Cleveland and Detroit and Kansas City, I don't expect them to spend money. Like they're not going to be in.
No.
And they got really. I don't want to say they got lucky, but they did really well in finding advanced guys. But I feel like a lot of these like big teams like Philadelphia, Atlanta, the Mets, and the Cubs are going to be spending so much money that they're just going to drive those prices up. So
yeah, I mean, Red Sox got to spend money at some point.
They're supposedly in for Snell and Fried. So I mean, Montgomery is going to be available for trade. So hey, it's going to be an interesting hot stove. There's probably going to be another Japanese player that's going to come over. Probably ends up in the Dodgers. Off-season predictions is what's going to happen. Juan Soto is going to resign after 2 weeks after a week after the winter meetings in Aaron Judge fashion. Going to sign a monster deal, and people are going to act like, oh my God. They're going to bill it up as this big surprise when in reality he was either going to the Yankees or the Mets. He's not going west. He's staying in New York. The Yankees are going to pay. Dodgers are going to sign some Japanese WBC guy on deferred payments. Going to come out and say that, oh, my idols are Yamamoto and Otani, and I was watching the World Series when I was at home in Japan. So that's going to happen. Corbin Burns does not stay with the Orioles. Probably ends up going and getting a bag. God knows where. What else can we see? Central teams spend money. Houston
Pete Alonso?
has stays a Met for life. Houston has attrition. So
Cubs?
that's what I think.
Cubs
Cubs
do
spend
anything?
money. Cubs spend money. You know, Cubs have to spend money. They need something to talk about at CubsCon. They had Dansby 2 years ago, and they had Bellinger last year. They have to have something for CubsCon.
People are lumping in Soto in the Cubs in the Soto sweepstakes. I'm like, that's just not happening. Cubs are not getting Soto. Cubs don't have that pull,
Well,
man. The Cubs don't have that
they
pull
do
in
have,
free agency.
they do have that pool. They got money. They
Not
got
for
the
the big
Ricketts
boys.
family.
Who's a big free agent the Cubs have signed?
They got Swanson, but I mean that Swanson was a one-horse race pretty much, and they
Yeah.
had Bellinger.
No one wanted that. No one wanted to pay that Swanson contract.
Well, I mean,
Jason Hayward, John Lester, Alfonso Soriano. They got you, Darvish.
that was in the old regime. That was like pre-Ricketts. Pre-Ricketts was like when they got Soriano and who else? They got you, Darvish. Darvish the Ricketts regime, or was that last regime?
No, I think he was before. When did when did the Ricketts family buy the team?
I want to say like early 10s, because they kind of started the whole rebuild process. They got the Theo, and Theo rebuilt, just went all in on hitters, and then ended up
2009.
yeah. So early 10s.
Well,
Because I remember the Cubs would
he
just
signed.
spend money.
Yeah, Darvish was absolutely a Ricketts signing. He signed with them in 2018.
But who was in the Soriano regime? That Soriano offseason was nuts. Like it was like a bunch of guys because Soriano was on the Nats, and I remember like because then they played. I think it was Arizona in the first round, and it was what's this guy from Tampa, Lou Piniella. He was manager 41.
The Cubs?
Yeah, Lou Piniella. The Lou Piniella years.
Yeah.
And they had Alonzo. No, not Alonzo. Alfonso Soriano. So yeah. Anything to close out?
You see that Dodgers fan blow his hand off?
I'm not
Doing
surprised people do
fireworks?
stupid. I'm not surprised people do stupid things when fanaticism gets involved.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on
I'm
the
not,
fans in the game 4?
bro. It's gonna happen. What do you expect? When you
It's getting
deprive
a
a
little too
fan
much
base,
attention.
when you deprive a fan base for 15 years of a championship like the Yankees, like one of the largest fan bases in baseball, yeah, stuff like that's gonna happen. Stuff like that everywhere, not even in New York. I just think things like that are gonna happen.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was they deservedly got kicked out, banned, whatever. But like, let's not act like like let's just relax. It's not that big of a deal. It's not the end of the world. Dodgers still got the out. Mookie didn't really make a big deal about it in the media. Like, let's just move on. I think people finally are, but it was a little bit more or a bigger deal than I thought people made it out to be. Or sorry, not as big a deal as people made it out to be.
Happy Halloween, by the way.
Yeah.
Did forget that. But yeah, did you see the Halloween costume the guy had? John Boy Media,
Top
bottom
of
of
the
the
fifth.
fifth, top of the fifth. Yeah, but yeah. We'll be back
Nice.
off-season pods to be
Oh yeah.
determined.
Yeah. We'll be back with off-season content.
Winter meetings are December 9th through the 12th, so that's when we should see action with free agents. Hopefully, we don't have to wait till Valentine's Day.
I know. That's the worst part about the World Series ending is it's like, wow, got 4 months of winter, no baseball. Sucks.
I mean, how do you feel about this season?
Like,
how do you feel about the
Yankees
season
or from a whole perspective?
From that whole perspective.
Yeah, it was okay. There were some cool achievements. Ohtani in the regular season. Judge had another good season. Regular season. It wasn't anything crazy. I mean, the World Series was built to be great. It didn't deliver. I mean, the games were good, but not as maybe good as this. The series wasn't as great as it could have been. It was better than last year, I think. Wasn't it? The trade deadline sucked again. Like that's a theme with this expanded playoffs. It was an okay season.
I agree with that. Pitchers and catchers report in 104 days, February 12th, 2025.
It's a long time. Like I said, I need a break from sports. Like that Bears loss last Sunday, coupled with the freaking Yankees losing the World Series, Michigan not good this year. It's just like, oh, why do we care so much about sports? I don't know.
I'm the same place. Like I'd rather like invest in other things in my life right now, like in my personal life. Like, Manchester United sucks. I'm completely tuned out to PL this year. Like I care less about my fantasy PL team. I started out hot, and I'm like, the international breaks just screw everything. I mean, baseball kind of like underdelivered. I felt in a way, like it was kind of expected in a lot of ways. The only big surprise was that the Tigers, which I'm not surprised yet not surprised. If you see what I mean. My fantasy football team is absolute garbage right now. Lost 5 in a row. I haven't seen a win in 5 weeks. My team's good. We just I just have inconsistent players. Injuries. Saints. I said the Saints. I wasn't fooled by the first 2 weeks of the season. We suck.
Grizzlies suck.
What else? No, everything. I don't care about LeBron anymore like I used to.
How's Xavier looking this year?
I mean, they look good, but we're not a Power 5 team. We're not a P5 team. You can't compete if you don't have P4 money in this new like college landscape. If you don't got the P4 money, you can't compete.
Mm-hmm.
And like with I'm watching Miami football, but like I'm gonna be honest, like they look good, but the defense is just absolutely atrocious. It is like first team to 40, first team to 50. So
yeah,
I'm just like I'm
I'll watch college football on the weekends, of course, but I think I need a break from other sports right now. Like basketball teams aren't going to be good this year. Let's just like I don't know, watch some shows, read some books. Like
what shows are you watching
like this? When you have losses
what shows
like
are you
this,
watching?
it's losses like this. Sorry, I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
When you have losses like this, it's just like why do we care so much? You get so close to the pinnacle. It's like that. It's like that for the Yankees every year. It's like you build your hopes up, you get to the playoffs, and then they always just come up short. You could argue that's tougher than just being a fan of a team that sucks every year. But what shows am I watching? I'm actually watching the Menendez brothers, working through that, and that's really it. I need to get into something else.
It's anticlimactic, is what I'll say.
You know what happens. Like I know what happens. So
Aaron Rodgers stinks.
What's the score?
It's 0-0, 0-0. And then it's just all this election talk. Like, bro, we should just go on vacation. Like Critics Corner vacation. Let's get out of the country, go somewhere where we don't have to hear about the election. Don't have to hear about anything like sports wise. Like we need to go to somewhere where like there's like some like new unique sport that we haven't heard of. Like, I don't know,
go
like
watch
bocce ball.
Yeah, just something like
it is
just hard
completely like
in this society when everything is so connected, like to just get stressed out and everything is so important, like sports, and get stressed out about the election, get stressed out about whatever. Like you can find a way to get stressed out about something if you just like every day we just log on to the internet and open up the phone and have access to everything you want in the world. Like I don't know, read a book,
engagements.
Like go out to the countryside and go apple picking on the weekends. People actually do that, and I don't know. Maybe this is how grim it is. This is where the Yankees loss has taken me.
Dude, you know what I want to do? Like on that comment, like I've been feeling this for a while. And I know we're kind of like over the podcast, but this is kind of like cool to add. But like I've been so over sports since like August and everything that I'm like, I just want to do like the Aaron Rodgers like thing. Like Go completely out the Oregon darkness, like no social media, nothing, just no phone for like a couple of days and just like chill like in the country, like in the mountains for some reason.
Yeah, be
With
nice.
the gym, no internet. I'm thinking about it when my contract's up at work. And I'm like, wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be out of the country over Christmas, so that'll be nice,
So
or over the holidays.
hopefully Juan Soto doesn't sign when you leave the part.
I know. I'll be gone for 2 weeks, so
Oh
hopefully
man, what is the
nothing
college
big
football
happens.
pod gonna do? College football pod's gonna
I
do.
know. I'm gonna miss a couple big weeks of the season. But,
Oh boy,
I mean,
we'll
there
see
is
what
internet
happens.
and there is internet over there, but ideally I'd be disconnected, I think, for a little bit.
So
Hey, the Grizzlies are
we'll see.
beating the Bucks in the first quarter right now. That's nice.
Bro, it's
It's just
regular
hard
season
when you go
baseball.
from it's hard when you go from World Series to regular season games.
It's regular season basketball. Sorry. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
All right then. That wraps. Oh yeah, and also F1 stinks. Like it's good, but it's just like I'm watching it and I'm like, bro, like I'm
Nothing's
disconnected
getting
from
the
F1.
juices flowing for you right now, huh?
Nah, man. I'd rather just get out in life, do some things outside. Go outside, get outside, and just watch sports at home. I literally come home, make myself some eggs, which I have right here prepped. Make some eggs after the gym, eggs, a protein shake, some cold cuts. Watch whatever game's on. Hop on CFB, trash talk some kids on CFB. Either get killed or lose. Either be depressed because I lost like some teenager and I'm talking smack to a teenager, or just be like, all right, cool, like I won, and then go to bed and then worry about life. So
There you go. Well, World Series is booked. This was another season in the books of covering MLB. Thank you all for supporting us. Thank you all for listening, of course. Um, yes, what our third
third season.
because I started this in 2020. I guess it was like when you came on, I think it was 22. So our third full season. I did Yankee Pods in 21, and
Yeah,
then
it was
2020 it
22.
was kind of a bit of both. So like our third full season together doing it. Um, Yankees finally made the World Series. Hopefully, we'll cover a Yankee World Series. I want it, but
Are we doing anything baseball related? Are we like let's not do spring training in Florida. I'm tired of Florida. Or like we need something like to get the juices back in baseball going. Like I don't know. Maybe we need to go out and watch some, Dominican Winter League baseball. Just go out to the booties and just, do that.
are you talking about next season or in the off season?
Off season or next season, go watch some like Dominican or Venezuelan baseball.
Get us a pass to the winter meetings. Let's get us into the winter meetings.
Get us to the Dominican World Series.
Hey,
Hey,
I'm
there's some
sure
ballers.
Acuna, Cano, or Acuna plays in Venezuela though, but he always
Maybe,
plays
maybe
he always plays he plays a full season in the off season. Who else or what else? There's no WBC
J-Ram,
next year.
maybe go to
College
Japan.
baseball. We could do a trip
Japan,
next year. Go Japan. I mean,
go-
yeah, that's far.
yeah, Japanese baseball. We can go to the Nippon Baseball League.
Yeah.
KBO, actually.
KBO was elite in COVID.
KBO was so elite. Like I truly do miss that. Like drop a couple parlays, the vibes. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. I think we can end
that's it.
there. Yankees pain suffering, but an okay season. They had some fun moments. I'm glad we had game 4. Should have won game 5. It is what it is. We'll be back at some point to talk more ball as news comes out and we have things to talk about. But until then, we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Peace.